I am feeling a lot better about what's going on in the crypto world right now.
ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood, in her latest monthly update of the market, has declared that she is still very positive about the potential of Bitcoin and the crypto market in general. Let's dive into the interview. Enjoy.
Well, crypto had its worst quarter since 2011, and it's a much more mature market than it was back then with the boom bust. So that's saying something. The S&P down 20% year to date, NASDAQ down roughly 30%. So the stock market has not seen a worse year to date since 1962. And that was when the Cuban Missile Crisis took place. And then what happened after that is we ended up in the Great Society, guns and butter, and inflation took off. But first, the stock market was a barn burner. It was very hot from 62 to 66. When it comes to bonds, this has been the worst year-to-date performance in bonds in anyone's lifetime. And by some measures, you have to piecemeal the bonds, but to try and get the record, the worst since 1788. That's more than 250 years ago. So, or almost 250 years ago. So it's been a very, very rough market for investors. We think there is light at the end of the tunnel. The light is that the Fed is getting a lot of signals that will ultimately end up in the lagging indicators called the PPI and the CPI. They're getting a lot of indicators, and I think a lot of companies are going to be telegraphing in their earnings reports this next month that we are in recession. And I do believe the Fed will do a double take. I want to spend a little time on crypto. It has been an incredible month, and fears of systemic collapse have been rife in the marketplace. So we've seen Bitcoin, it peaked way back in November at 69,000, and it is now at 19,500. It is still higher than its pre-COVID 7 to 10,000 range. And it is just about at its 2017 high. So this could be some support. It's also at, it is below its 200-week moving average, which is at 22,500. So there is some concern that that is the new resistance. Now, as we've seen the last month play out, talk about a reach for yield. Crypto personified that. DeFi personified that. And we knew that the Luna Terra experiment with algorithmic stablecoins was not going to work. It was backed by nothing. And I remember we did a podcast with Do Kwon. It's still on our site. And I remember listening to it twice because I couldn't understand what he was doing or saying. I am an economist by background, and so I really do try and noodle through these things. And I just didn't think that was going to work. And it failed in spectacular fashion in May. And has taken Celsius down with it, Voyager Digital, 3 Arrows Capital, BlockFi almost. It was very interesting to see BlockFi's last funding round at $3 billion. This is a lending platform. And tried to do another round recently at $1 billion. He couldn't get it done. And today it seems that FTX is going to is going to buy it out, or it has the option to buy the equity for $240 million. A rumor this week had it at $25 million, so much better than that, but much worse, less than a tenth of its last round. Or we will put out today our Bitcoin Monthly. We started it last month, and the title is Contagion versus Capitulation. And as you know, if you saw our last report, we have a lot of on-chain analytics which give us a sense of the capitulation in the marketplace, and also a sense of what is going bad out there. The transparency in the market, I think, is the reason we've seen a lot of failures very quickly. We have, compared to the opacity in the traditional financial markets, I think the shakeout in crypto has happened sooner and faster than it would have in the traditional financial markets. It's interesting that BlockFi is going to FTX. We know that two other platforms or companies, Lendn, which is Ledn, which is a lending platform in Canada, highly regarded, also seemed to be interested, as did, I believe, Morgan Creek. Now, these are people who really know what's going on in DeFi, and if they're willing to step in here, that has increased my confidence to some extent that the systemic risk is diminishing here. With time, we're seeing that each meltdown seems to be a smaller one, not the opposite. So that is giving us some confidence. The only reason I think people are a bit on edge here is technicians who, those who really don't follow the crypto markets at all. They're just technicians. They follow equities, bonds. They don't care what these companies do, or what kind of fixed income instrument it is. They just have their technicals, and just off the cuff, they will say, well, if it breaks from here, it could go to 11 to 13,000 from this 19.5. And the reason they say that, I can see this on the charts, is that's where there is a huge amount of support, where it peaked a lot of times in a trading range. That said, I will say that I am feeling a lot better about what's going on in the crypto world right now. You'll see our Bitcoin Monthly. I would say, we're neutral to positive. We're waiting for a few more capitulation signals. And of course, time will tell on the systemic side here. And we haven't heard of another stress signal in the last few days. So that's good as well. So what I will leave with is what's happened in the crypto market gives you a sense of why it is why it's going to work long run. It's transparent. And there's a lot more trust in the crypto ecosystem because of the transparency and the over-collateralization than I think there is in the traditional financial markets.